Welcome, everyone, to the Insurance Perspectives Podcast. I'm very excited today to be joined by Dee and Jackie Zampella of EAB Insurance Group. Dee and Jackie, thanks for being here. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. We appreciate being here.
I am super excited to get to know you both a little bit better and hear about your story and the background. Dee Zampella is a lifelong New Jersey community leader and longtime insurance professional who joined her family's agency in real estate business in 1978. She has held key industry leadership roles, including president of the Somerset County Independent Agents, as well as the director of the New Jersey State Agents Board. Beyond the insurance world, Dee is deeply committed to community impact, serving on numerous nonprofit boards, volunteering as a first responder, and supporting local organizations across Somerset County. Jackie is a third-generation insurance leader. She is a certified risk architect known for modernizing agency operations and delivering forward-thinking risk management strategies. After beginning her career at St. Jude's Children's Medical Research Hospital and becoming a living kidney donor in 2017, Jackie brought her service-driven mindset to her family's insurance agency in 2018. In 2023, Jackie was recognized as a Liberty Mutual Agent for the Future Emerging Leader. She is a rising industry voice on technology, leadership, and mentoring the next generation of insurance professionals. Thank you again, both, for being here. To get us started, Dee, could you give us the history of EAB Insurance?
Well, my mother, after high school, went to business school and worked for an attorney handling real estate closings. And one of the things she noticed, because in our area there was a lot of immigrants from Poland, Russia, Ukraine, and other Eastern Bloc countries, many of them who could not speak English would come to her office with their homeowner's insurance policy for the real estate closing, and they all didn't have a great policy with not such good premiums, high premiums. But if you were someone who lived in this country already and had a good attorney, had a good real estate insurance agent rather, she would see that your policy was better and cheaper, and she didn't understand that disparity and didn't like that disparity. So she called the insurance department of New Jersey and found out how to get an insurance license. And she opened a single woman insurance agency in 1949, Eleanor A. Roble Insurance. Was dating my dad at the time, who was a realtor. And he claims that he told her if she opened an insurance agency, he'd marry her. And she did. They got married, built a business together, insurance and real estate. She taught him insurance eventually, and they built a house, had the business out of the house, and my mother had 7 children during that time while she continued to run the agency. My parents were both very community driven. They helped anyone and everyone who needed help, just felt it was their Christian duty to do that, and that's how we grew up. All 7 children just grew up with that as our model. Really never thought I'd be in the insurance business, honestly. I was an interior design major in college, eventually graduated with a degree in art, but was working in the agency part-time through my college years, and ended up jumping in. My mother had some health problems, and I jumped in just to start helping back her up with the financial, the administrative, some of the other interesting parts of the business, and the next thing you know it, I was hooked.
Yeah, so kind of talk a little bit about the evolution to bringing us up to today, and a little bit about your team, the makeup of your team.
Well, when I first started, we were primarily a personal lines agency. She just really kind of started as the agent next door and just tried to help everybody in the community. If she had a commercial customer, she would do their insurance like as a favor. When I came into the business through the 80s and the beginning of the 90s, the insurance companies that we represented all came to me and said, we really need you to sell more commercial lines where, we really want to have a better mix. So our agency started to focus on commercial lines instead of just personal lines. And we kind of just let personal lines happen. We had a very heavy community presence. My parents were both in the Lions Club and the Elks Club and every other club. My mother was in every PTO meeting she had 4 different PTOs at one point when her children were at different schools. And they just were known in the community. So personal lines just kind of came by accident. They just got referred in and we wrote them, and that was worked. And we concentrated on commercial lines. So back then we were 70 personal, 30% commercial. Today we're 70% commercial,
Wow.
30% personal. We've just developed a heavy personal commercial lines book. Contractors, you write a couple of good contractors and you do a great job for them, and they tell all their friends that this agency will provide the service you need, the risk management tools you need. And we developed a heavy presence in the contractor business and in nonprofits, because we just did a lot of nonprofit work, and many of them came to us for advice, and the next thing you know, we became their insurance agent. So our makeup now is, again, 70-30 commercial to personal, and we have mostly women in the office for no other reason than not to apply for the jobs. We do have a couple of men who are producers, and they're all related. We're big on nepotism here. My brother's wife is one of my lead commercial lines underwriters. My husband's sister is my frontline receptionist and does all the certificates for the office. My sister's husband is one of my producers. My sister's now son-in-law just joined our agency as one of the producers. And of course, Jackie's in the footsteps to take over.
It sounds like an interesting Thanksgiving. So Jackie, talk a little bit about, how you were kind of brought into the business. I heard from a different podcast I listened to that Dee was on, that your initial thoughts of entering the business, you weren't necessarily interested. So how did you, what swayed you to join into the business?
Yeah, I absolutely did not want to come into insurance my whole life. So you mentioned St. Jude. Prior to St. Jude, I was out in LA. I went to school in California. I was working with a Hollywood director. I lived in LA. I went to school there for 4 years, lived in LA for like 5 years after that. Wow. Doing TV production and film production with him. He's a really well-known comedy director. We did a documentary together, and I had just gotten burnt out of being in LA. So I actually took a year off and did some backpacking and traveling around South America, Southeast Asia. And then when I got back, that's when I got hooked up with a job with St. Jude. And still, Mom was always like, hey, you ever think about insurance? You ever think about insurance? And I'm like, no, last thing on my radar, I do not want to do insurance. So I was living in Colorado working for St. Jude when I donated my kidney. I was actually the first one who donated a kidney altruistically. So there was no company policy. When an employee does this is what kind of time off they get. So I go to HR and I'm like, I'm donating a kidney. And they're like, all right, well, you have, 6 PTO days and you get 10 days of vacation because you've been here for a year. So you get 16 days off. And I loved the cause, but it was literally it was going to kill me. I called her one day, probably 2 weeks after going back to work, driving home one day, and I had been in traffic for an hour and 15 minutes. And I was like, I don't think I can do this anymore. I was like, what about insurance? Can I do insurance from out here? Mm-hmm. And she was like, sure, if you get your insurance license, we can figure something out. So while I was still working at St. Jude, I went to school at night. I just did an online course, got my insurance license, and we ended up opening a branch office in Colorado. So from 2018 to 2023, actually, we had a sub office out in Colorado where majority of my book of business was, and I probably still have 30% of my book of business is Colorado clients, both personal and commercial side. I would work with the inside staff here. A few of them got licensed in Colorado, so I do my submissions at night or earlier in the morning when they were up work on their hours, get a submission in. All of our big national companies were able to give me an appointment in Colorado, and I was like, all right, this is not so bad. I can do insurance from here. This isn't too bad. And then I just saw the business grow and saw the potential of what I could do if I was actually here in our headquartered office. So my wife got a job opportunity to move to New York in 2023, and she was like, do you want to move back to the East Coast? And I was like, well, kind of makes sense as I transitioned into this industry. Our Colorado office was doing really well. So I basically just closed the doors there, but told all my clients, we can still service you in New Jersey. It's going to be no different. And now I live about 10 minutes from our office and I get to be in the office every day.
Talk a little bit about what changed from being uninterested, which, by the way, that's the feeling of most people, right? No, I don't want to be in insurance. That sounds awful and boring, and there's nothing appealing to that at all. But once they get in it, it typically changes, and there's just this interest level. And so talk a little bit about how you evolved in that way and things that you drew an interest in and really liked about the business.
When people ask you what you do, if you tell them you are in insurance, like the next question is usually, oh, what do you sell? Uneducated consumer looks at insurance as a commodity. And it's just like, oh, I'm going to go out and I'm going to shop my policies, or I'm going to go to geico.com. I'm going to get my insurance and I'm going to move on with my day. And it does surface level sound really boring every day to just sling insurance policies and then hope that somebody doesn't find a better price somewhere else and then try to keep their business for another year. But right when I was joining the agency in 2018, we actually joined a group called Beyond Insurance, led by Scott Addis. And the whole philosophy is that we're not insurance agents, we're risk managers, right? You have your lawyer, you have your accountant, and you should have your insurance risk advisor there. They're like your top three. And if you're controlling your business and you're running it the right way, I should be looked at as your risk advisor. I'm with you throughout the year, coming up, designing, implementing risk management practices so that, yes, we have the insurance as a fail-safe, but we're proactively managing your risk. And in order to do that, I have to learn about what you do. And that's what makes every day so interesting. I have a ton of contractors in my book, and none of them are the same. I go on one guy's job site, and he's doing this job this way, has these employees, and then I go to a different job site the next day, and they're remodeling a basement, and it's a totally different procedure. And to get to learn about each industry and what every single person does to run their business, to me, makes it so dynamic. You have to be so on top of your game to learn about the ever-changing risk and how companies are evolving. And, obviously they're trying to grow. We want to improve their bottom line. And one way to do that is to implement risk management practices. Another way is to bring down their insurance premiums by showing underwriters that they're actually using the tools and processes we're providing for them. So I think every day is like a brand new day. And you don't really see that on the outside until you're in it. And then you're like, wow, this is actually a really interesting thing to do every single day, because no 2 days are the same.
That's right. Yeah, that took the words out of my mouth. That is exactly what I was going to add, is that something I learned right away. No 2 days are the same.
Yeah.
And there's so much to learn. You are always learning, always. Yes. And so that was just a big interest level for me, because I was the same way. I mean, couldn't be more interested in insurance. Nobody grows up and says, I can't wait to be an insurance agent. Dee, what did it look like for you when you were bringing Jackie on, to kind of onboard her and set her up for success? Because I would imagine it would be different. It's one thing, you've grown a team, trained people in, but I think it's different. When your child comes on, you want the best for them. So how did you approach that?
It was pretty actually simple, because Jackie was pretty impressive to everyone pretty much right off the bat when she came home and attended like one of our meetings and, had good suggestions. Our staff is very senior level. We have many underwriters here and account execs here that are in this business over 25 years. And so everybody has their way of doing things. Jackie had a great approach. Actually, I think better than me. I think she does a better job at handling the HR functions and some of the other functions of this office better than I do. I love sales. I love community service. I love just being out in the public and developing just relationships. Most of our growth has come from that, has just really come. We didn't do any heavy marketing in the way of advertising or, print advertising. We sponsor a lot of events because, the local nonprofits ask us to, and we do it because we should. And that just, I show up at all those events, and that just leads to things. But when Jackie first came, she just kind of absorbed everything, how we were running the business, what we were doing, what could we do better. And again, said, this is great. Like, what we have is fabulous. And one of the things she told me that she liked about it, she said, I watch you in the business. You love getting up for work every day. Your competition are your friends. Like, you are friends with more of your competition than I've ever seen in any other kind of business. That you go out and have a drink with them, you go to different functions with them, you go to the conventions, the meetings, and you're constantly talking to one of your competitors. And also your clients have become your friends. You're doing the same thing. You're going to the theater with them. You're doing this. She said, like, that's just a great model for, working, making money, and still enjoying your day. So when we brought her in, everyone here was just pretty impressed with a few of the suggestions she had during the first couple of meetings, that we just kind of brought her in. And she was basically going to be selling at first. But then we realized that she was really good at a lot of the administrative functions as well. So we're now trying to balance that. We have a really great director of operations. So she keeps all the operations pretty much. She's the one who, makes sure everybody's doing the right procedures inside HawkSoft and our other, systems that we use. Jackie kind of just does everything with the business development, technology, even the HawkSoft move was something that, I met somebody at an agency council meeting who mentioned it. I brought it back and said to Jackie and Christine, hey, there's this other software program called HawkSoft. I've never heard of it. Check it out. And, a month later they came and they said, we're really interested. Let's get everybody on the staff to look at it, make sure they like it before we make the move. And they implemented that. And then she started implementing, changing our website, doing more of the social media. It was really easy. She wasn't the boss's daughter, and neither was I ever. I came on, and I cleaned toilet bowls my high school years here. I came into the office and had to clean the bathrooms twice a week. That was my job as a 16-year-old. So everybody here saw me work my way up. I sold homeowners policies, then I helped in claims, and then I started running the agency when my mother had some health issues. And she really did the same thing. She proved herself pretty quickly. So nobody ever looked at it and said, well, how did she come in and then all of a sudden she's vice president and she's going to be running the agency? Because
I think I put that on myself too. I never want anybody to look at me and be like, oh, you got this job because your mom owns the agency. That's like obvious. Like, oh, you're the kid sitting in the office, like twiddling their thumbs all day and just, telling people to do this and that. Especially starting off, 2,000 miles away in Colorado, there would be times when I would need something and it would be 7:00 on the East Coast. And I wasn't going to call somebody and say, hey, I need this right now. So I had to learn how to file a claim. I had to learn how to quote almost every single one of our systems right away. I had to learn all the data entry stuff. I had to learn some of the bookkeeping stuff. So I wanted to make sure I'd learned everything. So there was never a point where I'd ask somebody in the office to do something for me and not know what I was asking them to do. I don't think it's fair to ask somebody to do something if you don't know all that it entails. Yeah. So I wanted to make sure that I had a really well-rounded picture of like, okay, what does an account manager do on a day-to-day? And if I'm asking them for something in this period of time, is that really a fair ask, knowing what has to get done in order for that to happen? So being in Colorado, I kind of had to do everything with their help. And then when they weren't around, like still kind of do everything to make sure that I knew what it took to write an account from start to finish, to process a claim from start to finish, to be there to handhold the client. Because again, I never want anybody to look at me and be like, oh, she only got this job because, her grandma started it, her mom runs the agency.
Jackie, talk a little bit about, in your early years when you joined, and I think this is natural when, the next generation joins an agency like this, especially that is established, you probably started seeing systems, processes, technology that needed to change and maybe, started to see there's a better way we can do this.
Dee spoke to earlier, a lot of our staff has been doing this for 25, 30, like it's been their whole career, right? 35, 40, so they don't have other career experience of like working for a bigger organization. And I had the benefit of coming from someplace like a St. Jude, which is a huge organization that has the best tools and technology. And then I come here and I'm like, what do you mean we're still faxing applications?
Yes, fax.
2018. And like, it was like, well, that's how we get the stuff, or we mail them out and then they sign it and send it back. And I'm like, okay, so we're going to try something called DocuSign. And everybody was like, but nobody's going to know how, like the older people aren't going to like the computer. And within like 2 months, everybody was like, oh my God, this is great. I click a button, they send the thing, they click it, they send it right back. We're not waiting days for applications anymore. And there was just little things like that I was like, that blew me away when I walk into an office and be like, wait a second, we have a fax machine in here? And I get it, this needed for certain banks need faxes, but like 90% of the stuff we do can be done digitally. And it was like, that was a huge leap for our office. And once you made a transition, I can't imagine what they would say right now if I said, okay, we're taking away DocuSign, we have to go back to faxing and mailing out signature pages. They'd be like, it's going to take us so much time.
She also implemented e-fax because there were still some companies or some people who had to fax.
Yeah.
But she said, why should you get up from your desk and go to the fax machine and put your piece of paper in? When you have it on your computer, you can just attach it to an email, do an e-fax. It's going to fax right to their fax machine, right from your computer. And everybody they couldn't imagine getting up and going to a fax machine now.
What were some of the other processes or tech that you added, along the way?
I think we have like the VoIP phone system now, where you can have a phone anywhere. You could have an app on your phone that is your phone, and it's not like you have to be glued to your desk. Especially, we still have like a hybrid work situation, so everybody has a laptop now. That phone is literally in the laptop. They could use it anywhere. They can have the app on their phone. It's so nice to not be like, well, I need my desk phone to answer my phone. And another one, as crazy as it sounds, I would go into our management system, which was Applied Epic, and I'd be like, why does this look like it's from the 1800s? Like, what is this? Like, it just didn't make sense to me. I'm like, the user interface is so not friendly. So when she's very big picture, like she said, and I'm more like detailed. So she's like, HawkSoft. And I did a deep dive, and I was like, wow, the interface is so much more user friendly. It just looks like it's meant to be in the, the 21st century. It doesn't look like it was invented in the late 1900s. That kind of technology excites me because I'm like, okay, having Zoom now, having Teams, everybody's on a Teams channel now together. Whereas before, if they needed something, they'd have to like pick up the phone and call somebody or walk to their desk. Now we have a commercialized Teams channel. And if somebody has a quick question, because we're not all in the office on the same days anymore, hey, I got a question about this carrier. Will they do this, this, and this? And it's like boom, 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 boom. You have 7 responses right away, as opposed to her calling her. It's just that has streamlined everybody's work process and quick back and forth so much more than it had been.
Talk about the team response to some of these changes, because with my team and with a lot of people out there, change is really hard.
Yes.
And to the point, they've been operating one way for the longest time, and this is what they know and are comfortable with.
Right.
And then for me, because I learned that, you shouldn't make a lot of these changes like right away or all at one time.
Or
Let's spread it out a little bit. Because it's hard. It's hard on other people, so, and there was a little bit of pushback. Just as an example, at one point, this was even before COVID, I said, we're going to use this Slack. What do we need this for? Well, 3 days later, we love it. So talk about how the team responded. And then where I think the interesting dynamic is where you, as the person that comes in that is implementing these things, and was there pushback? And then, I can only imagine maybe 1 or 2 team members went to D to say, do we really need to do this? I like the facts, or whatever. So talk a little bit about how it was implementing or modernizing the agency.
So there's very few changes I would say that we do that are like top down. Like we make the decision and we're just like, this is what's happening. DocuSign though, that was one of them. I was like, we are wasting so much paper and time and we're doing DocuSign. I'm like, you're going to like it. You're going to get on board with it. We're doing DocuSign. But something like a HawkSoft or a phone system change, I always make sure to bring the team in and say, this is what we're thinking of doing. They need to have buy-in to what we're doing. If I just stand here or she stands here and says, we're changing this and here's why, and 1 or 2 of them don't like it, it's going to be like wildfire throughout the office as to why we all hate this system. Like with something like HawkSoft, which was a big change, we got team buy-in. They sat in on all the demos. They actually really liked it. But there's still always what's called the curve of despair, right?
It's huge.
You get on, everybody's excited at first. They try 1 or 2 things, and now we're in the, okay, we hate this. Why did we change? It's so much harder. My day's more difficult. I don't really know it. I'm used to doing things the old way. Right. And then people start climbing out of that. And, oh, wow, now that I'm getting more comfortable with it, I realize that this is actually easier on my day. And that's still a little harder, but these 5 things are better. And there's always still 1 or 2 people that are still getting their own way. And they're like, I can't figure it out. I don't like it. But for the majority, once the people come out of that curve, it's like the team is now excited. But that does take a few months. It's not like we switched over to HawkSoft and 5 days later, everybody's like, this was the greatest thing we ever did. Thank you for doing it. It was like, wow. Even though they complained so much about the old one, the new one just as hard. It's hard to learn something new. Yeah. When you, like you said, we were on that other management system for 20 plus years. Wow. And then we changed to Epic. We were on Epic for 10 years. It was like, wow, we're changing to something new again. And it's hard to learn. But once the change is made and once people get all in on that change and they actually start adapting it and using it the right way, I feel like now they're real excited and majority of them love it. And they can't imagine going back to the other one because they're like, no, that'll be way harder.
I think for this type of dynamic, that is going to be the same no matter what agency you walk in. When you start making changes, it's so hard, and it's a growing pain. It's a massive growing pain. After that curve, that was well put, that people do realize. We went through the same thing with the VoIP phones and the soft phone. And the soft phone. Some of us, they had to have a physical phone.
Everybody, we need a physical phone, and I'm like, but do you? Now that they have it, they're like, oh, I don't actually need a phone anymore. I'm good with my little headset. I'm fine.
Jackie, touch on a little bit any concerns that you had. You're not only, as I just learned, not only working with mom, you're working with a lot of relatives. Talk about some concerns you might have had with getting into that.
I don't think I had any concerns getting into business with my mom because we get along so well. I mean, we mostly see eye to eye on everything. There's a few things we butt heads on. Like I said, she's more big picture. I'm more detail oriented. Sometimes she'll come out with a big idea, and I'm like, in the moment, I'm like, yeah, we can't do that right now, but I'll put it on the back burner. We'll try to figure it out. She's like, well, we got to do this, 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 and this. I'm like, I love the enthusiasm, but we can't do that right now. Let me figure it out in a month or two. Those are the only times we really butt heads. As far as I think we see the growth for the agency. We have the same idea where we want it to go. The rest of the family here, everybody kind of just stays in their lane, which I appreciate. Nobody's trying to which I know is not the case for some other family run agencies, but everybody kind of knows what they're doing. They stay in their lane. It is interesting as you mentioned, Thanksgiving and stuff, I'll catch myself talking with somebody about, and I'm like, we got to stop talking about, my wife and our young producer, his wife will be there. I'm like, oh, they're talking about insurance again. Oh, here we go. And I'm like, sorry guys, no, it's just going to be 2 seconds. Or when we're out to dinner as a family, and I'll have my wife and my son and my mom and my dad and my mom, and I'll start talking about work. My wife will kick me under the table, and I'm like, all right, I know, I'm sorry, it was just one thing. I didn't get to talk to her about it today. But it's hard to pull out of that when you're not in the office, because so much of what we do is this growing this business and being here. It's hard to completely shut that off at the end of the day. 5 o'clock, now we're going to be family time. It's really hard.
And one of the things about our overall staff, somebody asked me why people do business with us. A very large nonprofit that I was in to, do a proposal. And I said, honestly, it's because my people care more. And I said, I can't even say it's me. I'm going to care. I'm the owner, right? I'm going to care about every customer, every client, every policy, whatever happens. I care because it's my business. My reputation's on the line, my family name. But I said, my staff cares as much as I do. I have a claims person who will take a half an hour lunch instead of an hour because one of our elderly customers who really can't leave the home has a homeowner's claim that has to be a proof of loss has to be signed. So she'll take less of a lunch hour, not take extra time, take less of a lunch hour so she can run to that person's house and get them to sign a claim form. So that she can save one of their relatives a trip of bringing them down to our office to sign it. Things like that. People, when we went hybrid, everybody said, you're still keeping your people hybrid? I said, I have one of my staff members who lives over an hour away. She's in the car by 6:45 to get here by 7:45. We don't open till 8:30 technically, but she just likes to beat the traffic. So now that she's hybrid, I'll get on the computer sometimes at 7 a.m, and she's already sending an email to a client and CCing me. She's already working at 7 o'clock in the morning. She doesn't have to be, but it's more about, I just got to take care of my clients. Everybody wants to take care of their clients. That's pretty much our culture is client first, company second, or fellow employees second, and then companies third. They just all care, and it's easy. Nobody looks at somebody else and goes, well, she doesn't work as hard as I do. We just don't have that here. It's very refreshing. And people, when I talk to people about, culture, it's good. It's just where it should be. I'm 68. I love coming to work every day.
So that tells me that, one, you've done an amazing job as a leader to take care of your people, and two, that you've done an amazing job at expressing the vision and being transparent about what's important, and your team is bought in.
I can say on the positive with having Jackie added to the staff, a lot of the things I did, I still ran the company as a mom and pop, even as we got big and we had 18 employees, right? I still was with a handshake and a smile and my word. Jackie has taken all my processes that were a lot of just not processes, just, everybody did a great job this year, so I'm giving you all a raise and I'm giving you all a bonus. And she really implemented, and I would do reviews, but kind of not real organized and not every single year. And people knew because I constantly complimented them and or if there was something they did wrong, I would address the issue. But Jackie's formalized the process, which I think my staff appreciates much more, to sit down and do a self-review and then have us do a review and have their raise or their bonus based on us hitting some goals. And it just keeps everybody, like Jackie said, we always want to have the buy-in from the staff. We don't want to ever make top-down decisions. It's just, I don't think it works that way. She's done a good job formalizing it and making it procedure.
I was in the same boat, by the way. I mean, where I didn't have those processes written, or this is kind of the way we do things. But then to be able to do that, it definitely provides clarity. And that does make the team feel better when things are black and white.
Yes.
It's also harder to scale if you don't have process. If you're a 4-person agency, you can kind of each maybe do your own thing, maybe 10%. But like as you try to scale up and grow, if I hire somebody new and I have 6 different account managers doing things 6 different ways, and person 7 gets trained by you one day, and then I go to her at the end of the first week. I'm like, how did you do? She's like, well, so and so taught me this way. So and so taught. I don't really know what I'm doing right now. So to have like a formalized, hey, we want to do this. This is how it's done. If you want to do that, that's how it's done. It just makes it easier to scale in the long run when we hire new people to say,
That's right.
hey, here's your process. Here's your procedure. You're going to get trained. And no matter who trains you, it's going to be the same training because we all do things the same way.
Dee, was there any pushback on that sort of thing? Because I got a little bit from that on my team that, well, it's starting to feel kind of corporate now. So did you hear anything like that, or because that is a change? And why are we doing this? Why do I have to sign this?
Yeah, 1 or 2 people were a little concerned. But I think that 1 or 2 people, maybe they were worried a little bit more about the accountability factor. The ones that felt that they had no problem being accountable, they knew they were doing a great job. They knew they would, and I saw that in some of the self-reviews. Some of the self-reviews were very conservative. Like they actually thought they did things not as well as I thought they did them when they graded themselves. But most of them, at the end of the day, actually appreciated it because I think they want the clarity. They want to make the clear direction. And although they knew, the basic mission statement of the agency and the culture, and what we're about, I think they like the definitive clarity on kind of their goals for next year, for this year.
And as far as processes are concerned, I think that having clearer processes in place and procedures is like a standard operating procedure. And you explain to them, right, they're insurance people, so you explain to them, hey, this is for our E&O too. As we get bigger, if we have 5 people doing things 5 different ways and when there's no process and we get brought to court and it's because something wasn't buttoned up the right way, I don't ever want them to feel like, well, I wasn't supported by the management team because there wasn't really a process here. So I didn't know what to do. So why am I at fault for this E&O claim? It's like we have a process and a procedure for a reason. It's really to help us for E&O stuff too.
Yeah.
And one of the other things that we encourage here, like the HawkSoft conference this year, I have 3 employees going. I am not going to Texas. I actually have a different conference I have to attend for Beyond Insurance, and same with Jackie. So they'll bring back all the ideas and all the suggestions that they got from other agencies. So it doesn't always come from the top, which is great. Yeah. We also do that with a lot of our companies. I've sat on a lot of agency councils, being in the business almost 50 years. And when they'll call me again, I'll go, well, why don't you ask one of my staff members to be on your agency council? They're as smart as I am, and they're the ones who are on the front line. So they know what kind of suggestions to give you as to a better way to do things, whatever you're doing. So we have a lot of our staff gets involved in a lot of our company councils, and they bring back again the ideas, or they take our staff's ideas and or complaints and bring them to the company level. So it works out good to have them all involved because they feel like they're a part of everything that we do.
Heck yeah, that's fantastic. Last question, and then we'll let you get on with your day. It's kind of for both you and Dee will ask you first. What's your favorite part about working with Jackie?
My favorite? No, I got a lot of favorite parts. In the beginning, it was because I could go to Colorado and see her a lot more than I would have, and I could write it off as a business expense.
Yeah.
My favorite part is now that she's in New Jersey. It's fabulous because I now have a grandson. So my favorite part is that I get to see my grandson a lot. She compliments me perfectly. Like she said, I'm big picture, but I'm ADD, probably ADHD. It just wasn't diagnosed when I was a kid. And so I'm all over the map. I want to do this, and I get excited. I'm still very passionate about insurance. I love getting up for work every day, but I'm all over the map. And a lot of times I start a project and don't finish it. And she takes me by the neck and says, okay, sit down. We're going to get this done. It's got to be done by Friday.
That's one thing I will say. The staff does not hesitate to be like, hey, you need to get your mom to do that thing. Hey,
oh, love that.
We can't tell her because we're not her daughter, but you know what? Can you get her to do that thing that she said she was going to do 2 weeks ago? And I'm like, I got it. Don't worry.
So that's my favorite part, is that she actually gets me to complete a task before I start another one. And just she takes over the organizational part of it, which has just made my life much easier.
It's awesome. And it's made your business so much better to have that, to have that operational person. Jackie, what's your favorite part about working with Mom?
I think it's just like getting to see her and work with her every day. I mean, she's done this for 50 years. She's really good at it. She's really well respected in this industry. Now it's more of a blend of men. Most agencies are still, I would say, predominantly women inside, but when you get to the top, it's mostly men who lead them. And I've been in many rooms where it'll be a bunch of guys like, oh, I know your mom from that thing. She was the only woman on the council with us. Oh, your mom was and it's a testament to how long and how well she does what she does, because they all speak so highly of her. I've never once walked into a room and been like, oh, you're Dee's daughter?
Yeah.
It was like, oh, I love your mom. Oh, I met your mom on this golf trip. Oh, your mom and the dad and I had great fun on this President's Club trip here. Like, it's really fun to see all the fruits of her labor. And now it's really fun to step into the role that I'm in. And hopefully she starts to take a few steps back. She's starting to a little bit. And see her get to enjoy what she's built for the last 50 years, Get to see her hang out with my son and be like, I'm going to leave early on a Friday. You take over, you do the thing, because I want to go hang out with my grandkid at the pool. It's fun for me to be able to watch her enjoy everything she's done.
Yeah, you must be so proud. Both of you. I mean, it's special. I think that's a great place to wrap it up. I want to thank you both again for joining us today and sharing so much. I think this is going to be a great episode.